So there are three guys on this slate over 10K: Shane McClanahan, Garrett Cole, and Aaron Nola. And Matt, do you want to pay up into the 10s for Nola, who's got an enticing matchup with a weak-hitting Arizona team that has struggled mightily against right-handed pitching?
It's tempting. I think the reason to do it is that Nola does have this great matchup, and I think there's a good case for it, especially if you're playing cash games. I think Aaron Nola is a better play than Garrett Cole just because the matchup is so much better. Cole is going into Oakland, and the A's, especially since the trade deadline when they got Starling Marte and Josh Harrison, they just don't have a lineup that strikes out that much. So I think Nola over Cole, and then kind of ignore McClanahan in Baltimore. Unless he's like 1% owned in GPPs, maybe you just make the pivot there. But I think if the decision is between those three, I like Nola a decent amount more than the other two. But I don't know if I really want to pay up that much, and we'll get there with hitters, but I just don't feel that good about any really cheap hitters on this slate. So I may just want to spend $8,400 at most on Sean Manaea, who's been really bad lately, but he's been really good over the course of the year in a larger sample. And the Yankees do strike out a lot. So I think Manaea 8,400 could be the way to go here if you don't want to spend as much on pitching and take someone a little bit cheaper.
All right, Eric, where are we going?
It's a pretty strong pitching slate overall, which I think means that guys like Cole and Nola, who normally would be owned by nearly everybody, there's going to be just more competition for your pitcher slots. So they may not be quite as popular as they may be on some days. So I think they're both fine choices. But if you want to go a little bit cheaper, I like Joe Musgrove at 9,600 a lot against an Angels team, which is third from the bottom in WRC Plus since the break. Just not a lot left on that roster without Trout and Rendon, and even some of the guys who were good earlier in the year, like Jared Walsh, are not looking as good of late. So one of the best matchups you can have. Musgrove had a little bit of a rocky stretch a little while ago. He had a 4-start stretch with an ERA north of 7. But in the 6 starts since then, 2.75 ERA, seems to be throwing as well as he has really at any point this season. He's kind of had an interesting track record over the course of his career. Early in his career, through 2019, didn't really strike guys out, but didn't walk anybody, and was fine, but nothing special. Then suddenly last year, he struck out nearly a third of opposing batters, but also walked close to 10%, 9.5%. This year, he's given back a fair portion of the strikeouts, but still is way up at 28.1%, and he cut his walk rate back. So I think this is a new, well-rounded version of Joe Musgrove, who is rightfully priced a tier below those aces, but is still, I think, a very trustworthy option against almost everybody, especially a team like these Angels.